Hello, this is the PC Expert Amateur, and I wanted to bring to your attention a video that I just put into a brand new playlist, which is 3D printing. I don't have any 3D printers. I can't justify the cost. I'm not good at designing things. I don't know how to do that really in a piece of software that would be able to make something appropriate. If somebody knows of something for complete novices like me, I realize that there's like libraries where you can try to find something that meets your needs and then you can print that out. But still, the problem is being unemployed and having been persecuted into unemployment by Amazon, I can't actually afford to buy a printer. As much as I would love to have a Bamboo Lab or what is that one? The one that's name is something with robot in it. I would love to have a large scale one to be able to print things out for my purposes of testing and stuff like that. But, honestly, I don't expect that any 3D printing company is ever going to, at least not with the tiny audience that I've got, be willing to give me a giant 3D printer. And with that in mind, Nathan Builds Robots did expose a problem with 3D printing. Now, I believe this is beyond just 3D printing because there are a lot of manufacturers out there that take shortcuts or they deliberately ignore safety regulations, especially in countries where regulation of businesses is not good, like India and China and several other countries. But also even here in the United States, there are companies that are perhaps ignorant of the law or they don't care about the law. I mean, if you look at gigantic corporations like Amazon, and yes, I already mentioned them once, I know that. These companies are so big, so powerful, and so wealthy that, and this can be said also of giant companies that produce cars and many other things, that they can actually build exceptions to rules by bribing the politicians that make the laws, both on the state and federal level. So, for example, if you look at the law that was passed that states that Americans have the right to be able to fix their own products, because companies have been and lobbies have been pushing to take away our ability to fix things by making things very, very difficult to fix and requiring special tools that are not available to the public and so on and so forth. So a law was passed to make sure that people can still do that. However, several industries represented by their lobbyists were exempted, including the automotive industry. So, and I talked to my mechanic, and he tells me all about this stuff, about how the automotive industry has made it increasingly difficult for third parties like them. And this guy's he's ethical. He provides reasonable prices with OEM parts whenever possible, and he does a great job. And the other place I go to also, and yet they're being squeezed by the automotive industries with the help of politicians. Politicians are repeatedly complicit in making citizens' lives more difficult while putting more money into the pockets of the people who already have more money. But I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. So, getting back to the topic, Nathan shows us, number one, that there are these carbon nanotube or fiberglass tube or whatever in the filaments for 3D printers, and that some of them are designed in such a way that fiber I'm talking about cannot get out of the plastic. But there are still two other problems. One is soot, the other is dust. So there are three problems with plastics. And it isn't just 3D printed plastics, although he doesn't talk about this. You can get plastic dust, and plastic soot from other products. But the soot is primarily going to come from the 3D printing process. Now, you can get residue of soot on plastic products and other products that may have been contaminated by that process. And I'm not really sure what the health threat is. So if you happen to be like a pulmonary specialist, for example, and you have some information on that, please share with the audience. But the problem with the carbon nanotubes and stuff is that they are much smaller than a human hair. And unless the surface of the product that you have made or bought has been treated with a clear coat that seals the surface, you are at risk of getting that stuff embedded in your skin. Now, I don't know how deep those things can get pushed into your skin, whether it can get to the, if it's just in the epidermis, which is the top layer, or if it can get into the mesoderm, or if it can get into the, and I forgot what the bottom layer is. But if it can get into that bottom layer where the skin is actually produced, that's very problematic. Even if it gets into the middle layer, it's kind of problematic. But if it's just at the surface, it's not a big deal. I mean, yes, you can feel it poking into your skin, and it's uncomfortable, and it's so tiny that you can't really see it usually. And they're hard to pull out because they break. You know, like I'm talking like fiberglass. I learned as a kid, you don't touch fiberglass. My dad told me this. This is fiberglass insulation. Don't touch it. It will not feel good in your skin. And there are other things that have very similar experience, such as some types of bamboo. They grow these very fine, dark brown hairs, and those get in your skin and feel just the same as fiberglass and other things. But anyways, as you may or may not know, asbestos gets into your lungs, and it is like these fibers as well, or crystals, and they get into your lungs, and your lungs have a horrible time expelling them, and this can result in disease in your lungs. So the implication here is that if these tiny pieces of carbon nanotubes can get into your lungs, they might be able to cause the same problems as asbestos. Now, I know that America is one of the few countries that actually bans asbestos. When I lived in Indonesia, it was very easy to get asbestos. But the solutions are, number one, every company must use some kind of a technique to make sure that there is no non-invasive exposure to the dust, the soot, and the filaments. I mean the fibers. Now, you can use, as Nathan shows in his video, and you can use glue, super glue. You can use. He can also talks about using epoxy or spray paint. I know from another video, I forgot the name of the lady. She's from Scandinavia. She has pink hair. Really interesting. She's missing a pinky, so she made a little mechanical hand to help her with that by 3D printing. And she said something about using wood. Was it wood compound or some kind of a wood glue maybe with acetone, I think it was. And then so she sands it down, but she wasn't wearing, I don't know if she was wearing a mask, but she sands it down or after putting that on the surface after it dries, and then she puts some paint on top of that. Now, spray painting is going to release stuff into the air. Even regular paint and glue and stuff, that's going to release fumes into the air, if not actual dust. So, there are always these risks. So if you're going to do what she does, then you're putting dust into the air because you have to sand down the surface to make it nice and smooth. So he suggested super glue. Just put super glue all over the outside of whatever you've printed, which could be kind of messy and time-consuming for you. Also, I don't know how long it takes for super glue to dry out. So if you've got something covered in super glue, you might want to consider another choice than super glue. But anyways, so he goes through it and he shows us under a microscope what those filaments look like, or sorry, fibers look like, and in his skin. So he's actually rubbing 3D printed products against his skin, and you can see these little tubes. And he even compares them to a piece of hair. So you can see how much bigger a piece of hair is. And he said that there is some research out there that suggests that this is bad. So if you're going to do 3D printing, it is advisable that you have some kind of a HEPA or better filter very close to your 3D printer. Now, this is my advice, not his. He does, at the very end of his show, have a shot where he mentions this giant filter he's got. I've got filters running in my apartment now for completely different reasons. So you can do that, but it has to be, I don't even know what level of HEPA would be required to catch the little particles that he was showing on his skin or in his skin. But then there's also the soot, which is caused by the melting process, melting that filament. And there's also the dust, and that can come off of other products that were created maybe by 3D printing, maybe in a different way. Maybe they were 3D printed and then they were sanded down. But you can get all of these things, and the question is health-wise, what's the impact? Well, every time humans come up with some kind of an innovation, there are always risks that come with it, and this is no exception. So that's why I'm bringing this to your attention. If you're doing 3D printing, get yourself an air filter that's at least HEPA, and try to choose filaments that, if they're reinforced, do not release much, if any, in the way of plastic particles. So I encourage you to follow the link to see his video. Here's a close-up where he shows some of those little nanotubes that have been rubbed into his skin. And yeah, so it's, I don't know, I don't think it's gross, but I think that it's something that bears thinking about. So you can see all the nanotubes in there. Now this, he's showing how the nanotubes are not exposed to your skin because there's a clear coat over them. I think this is actually super glue clear coat. Whereas here you can see the nanotubes are exposed, and he does rub it against his skin, and you can see it gets in there. And there's all kinds of stuff that he shows you in here. It's very, very interesting. I don't have a lot of personal comment on this just because this is not an area that I know a lot about, but I hope this information helps you guys. And if you have any questions, go to Nathan Builds Robots and ask Nathan. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.